Imagine your life as a boat floating down the river of time. Every action, every habit you perform daily is like a paddle you use to steer. Some habits are like strong paddles, propelling the boat forward steadily and helping you reach the shores of peace and success. But some habits resemble rocks submerged beneath the water, dragging you down, slowing the boat, and even threatening to pull you under if you don't recognize and remove them in time. Often, we don't pay attention to these rocks, the negative habits, until we find ourselves stuck, unable to move forward. A habit is something you do regularly and almost without thinking, especially something that is hard to stop. This means that even when you realize a habit negatively affects your health, relationships, or finances, stopping it remains a significant challenge. Bad habits are like a trance, causing us to repeat them without thought, making our minds unconscious in our decisions. However, you don't have to stay trapped in that vicious cycle. The philosophy of Stoicism, which has existed for thousands of years, offers profound principles for self-discipline, breaking bad habits, and replacing them with conscious, valuable actions. Today, let's explore 7 Stoic habits together that help you break free from negative patterns and build a life of stability and deep meaning. Habit number 1. Attachment to material possessions. I once advised my mother on decluttering when she had been agonizing for hours over whether to discard 6 boxes of craft supplies that she had carried from house to house for over 2 decades but had never used. She kept them not because they had any real value, but because she feared that one day she might need them, or simply felt a sense of regret in letting go of things that had once been part of her life. In contrast, another client I worked with felt no attachment to the things in her apartment. When asked what she would save in case of a fire, she couldn't think of a single item she truly wanted to keep. Even though her apartment was filled with beautiful possessions, to her they were just material objects without any intrinsic value. These 2 stories vividly illustrate one of the habits stemming from the attachment that Stoic philosophy constantly warns against: attachment to material possessions. This is a common habit that many people experience, an attachment that seems harmless but ultimately becomes a barrier to spiritual freedom. Material possessions, no matter how valuable, are ultimately inanimate objects, and excessive attachment to them creates suffering, anxiety, and an endless sense of lack. Stoic philosophy teaches us that all attachments lead to suffering, especially attachment to material things. This attachment creates a sense of greed, never feeling satisfied with what we have. From unnecessary items to valuable possessions, people are never content and always want more, driven by the false belief that happiness lies in what we own. When we become attached to wealth, we fall into the vicious cycle of desire, acquisition, and more desire, never reaching true fulfillment. Attachment to material things also prevents us from recognizing the impermanent nature of the world. Everything changes, and material possessions are no exception. An object can be lost, damaged, or simply lose its value over time. But when we rely on them for joy and happiness, their loss brings deep suffering. Stoicism advises that instead of placing our happiness in external things, we should seek joy from within, from the tranquility of the soul, and freedom from unnecessary desires. Moreover, this attachment leads to negative feelings such as envy and comparison. When we cling too much to possessions, we begin to compare what we have with others, leading to unnecessary jealousy and competition. This not only weakens relationships, but also robs us of inner peace. As a result, We no longer view others with kindness, but rather see them as a measure of our worth. To overcome attachment to material possessions, Stoicism offers practical strategies. The first is practicing gratitude. Instead of always seeking more, be grateful for what you already have. Gratitude helps us realize that happiness doesn't come from the amount of possessions, but from how we enjoy and appreciate them. Next is simplifying life. Eliminate unnecessary items, live minimally, and focus on core values. Finally, practicing generosity and sharing with others not only reduces attachment, but also brings genuine joy through relationships and experiences. However, not everyone finds it easy to let go of things they have been attached to for many years. As in the case of the woman with the 6 boxes of craft supplies, many people hold on to items not because they are needed, but out of fear of future regret. They worry that one day the item may become useful or evoke valuable memories. Yet, what Stoic philosophy emphasizes is to live in the present, not for uncertain future scenarios. So, ask yourself, are we holding on not just to material things, but also to habits, thoughts, and emotions that are no longer relevant to our current journey? When you find the answer, you will realize that continuing to cling to things that no longer serve your purpose only creates mental burdens and hinders your progress. Next, let's move on to the habit of clinging to past regrets. This is another habit that obstructs spiritual freedom. When we are stuck in past regrets and mistakes, we cannot move forward. What has passed cannot be changed, and clinging to them only prolongs the suffering. Habit number 2, clinging to past regrets. While living a life without regrets is often seen as an ambitious goal, the reality is that most people will feel regret about at least some actions, emotions, or situations from their past. Some guilty experiences can offer value when they help us learn and make amends. However, when we carry strong feelings of regret throughout life, we harm our mental health and prevent ourselves from experiencing happiness in the present. To better understand regret and how to cope with it healthily, we need to look deeper into why we feel regret and the techniques that can help us let go of it. Clinging to past regrets can trap our souls in painful emotions, keeping us stuck in a cycle of disappointment and self-blame. Every time we dwell too much on our mistakes, we miss the opportunity to live fully in the present. This not only weakens our self-esteem, but also prolongs feelings of sadness and dissatisfaction with life. When immersed in past mistakes, we often have a distorted view of reality, focusing on what went wrong instead of appreciating the positive aspects of our current lives. For example, imagine you worked too much while your children were growing up. Looking back, you realize that you missed important moments in their lives, and now they aren't as close to you as before. You feel stuck, full of regret for the years that have passed. The weakened family relationships hurt you, and you begin to blame yourself for past actions. This is a typical example of how regret can deeply damage one's mental and emotional well-being, hindering personal growth and happiness. Stoicism, a philosophy based on acceptance and reason, teaches us how to let go of things we cannot control, including the past. One of the first techniques is to practice self-compassion. When facing past mistakes, instead of harshly blaming ourselves, we should treat ourselves with kindness and understanding. Everyone makes mistakes, and it is a natural part of being human. Learn to talk to yourself with compassion, recognizing that every mistake is an opportunity for growth and improvement. Another aspect of letting go of regret is cultivating forgiveness. Forgiving ourselves and others for past mistakes is a crucial step in freeing our hearts from the burden of resentment. Holding on to negative emotions only prolongs suffering. Forgiveness promotes healing and reconciliation, opening the door to moving forward. Additionally, focusing on the present moment is a valuable skill. When we bring our minds back to the present through meditation or mindfulness exercises such as deep breathing or body scanning, we release the thoughts that keep us stuck in the past. These practices help free the soul from the whirlpool of regret, bringing peace and calm. A key part of this journey is learning from your mistakes. Instead of drowning in regret, view it as a valuable lesson. Reflect on what you've learned and use it as a guide for your current actions. Every mistake from the past is an opportunity to become stronger, more mindful, and to live a more meaningful life. Finally, practicing gratitude can help transform regret into appreciation. Be thankful for the lessons you've gained from your mistakes, and grateful for the fact that life continues to offer you opportunities to change and grow. Focusing on the good things in your present life will help you let go of the past and move forward with optimism and strength. As philosopher Marcus Aurelius once said, "We live only in the present, in this fleet-footed moment." This reminds us that the past cannot be changed, and the future has yet to come. The only thing we can control is our actions and attitudes in the present moment. So, let go of regret, learn to live fully in the present, and make the most of what life is offering. What do you think about this perspective? Share your thoughts in the comments below. I would love to hear how you have overcome regrets in your life. Habit number 3, worrying about the future. We live in a culture that tends to focus heavily on the future. From a young age, we are encouraged to think about who we want to be and what we want to do when we grow up, which often leads to wondering how to stop worrying about the future. As adults, we are constantly urged to plan and save for the future to protect ourselves from potential crises. This mindset, while often meant to protect us, can lead to increased anxiety and a general sense of negativity about ourselves, others, and the world around us. In reality, worrying about the future stems from a misunderstanding of the nature of life and our place within it. We often feel that by thinking a lot about potential threats or risks, we can control or mitigate them. This is a fundamental mistake. As the Stoic philosopher Marcus Aurelius once said, "Never let the future disturb you. You will meet it, if you have to, with the same weapons of reason which today arm you against the present." Worrying not only fails to solve problems, but also adds to the psychological burden, making us feel increasingly powerless in the face of life's inherent uncertainty. It is precisely this uncertainty that humans need to learn to accept. Life is always changing, and efforts to control the future often only lead to mental and emotional exhaustion. When we worry excessively, we fall into a vicious cycle, where every attempt to find security drains our energy and diminishes our ability to focus on meaningful things. This reduces our ability to enjoy the present moment and hinders genuine connections with those around us. Have you ever found yourself thinking things like, "When I leave home, then I will truly be myself. When I get the job I want, I will feel more confident. When I start a relationship, I will be happier"? This is how anxiety and an obsession with the future steal the joy from the present. We attach our happiness to future events, and as a result, we never feel truly fulfilled with what we have right now. To free the mind from this anxiety, Stoic philosophy encourages us to cultivate mindfulness and focus on what we can control in the present. The first step in doing this is to practice mindful meditation. By taking time each day to focus on the present and observe our thoughts without judgment, we can begin to recognize and challenge negative thought patterns. This practice helps us not only reduce anxiety, but also enhance our self-awareness. In addition, engaging in daily mindful activities like eating, walking, or breathing mindfully are great ways to reconnect with the present. As we do this, we gradually nurture the ability to accept that anxiety is a natural part of life, but it doesn't have to control our lives. As Epictetus, one of the great Stoic philosophers, said, "Don't seek to have events happen as you wish, but wish them to happen as they do happen, and all will be well with you." More importantly, we should cultivate gratitude. By appreciating the good things in our present life, we gradually shift our attention from worrying about the future to enjoying what we currently have. This does not mean ignoring the challenges in life, but rather learning to face them with calmness and confidence that we can handle them. Ultimately, worrying about the future brings no benefit other than preventing you from living life fully in the present. Instead of drowning in negative thoughts about what could happen, choose to focus on what you can control right now. Let go of the habit of worrying, and you will find that life becomes lighter and more meaningful as you truly live in the present moment, where all possibilities exist. Now, let's explore another common habit: seeking approval from others. In our interconnected world, driven by social media and constant comparisons, it is easy to fall into the trap of seeking validation and approval from others. Habit number 4: seeking approval from others. All of us are wired to seek connection, safety, and attachment with others. These are some of the basic survival needs of human beings. However, you may find yourself stuck in a difficult habit, seeking validation from others. This may not seem harmful at first, but when you constantly rely on external approval, your life can be affected. You may feel disappointed when you don't receive the expected feedback, worry about what others think, or do things not for yourself but out of social obligation. This is a sign that you are becoming dependent on others' evaluations rather than trusting your own self-worth. We often hesitate to take risks that might lead others to view us with disapproval or diminish our social standing. Instead of listening to our inner voice, we chase after what society expects. And the result? We gain praise and approval from others. But it's only temporary satisfaction. You might think, why not seek approval? What's wrong with it? The problem lies in the fact that you only achieve approval by sacrificing the understanding of yourself and living authentically. You miss the opportunity to truly know what you want and to discover value and self-acceptance from deep within. Seeking validation from others is like wearing a mask, denying your true self for recognition that, in the end, will not bring lasting value. Dependence on external recognition is one of the main causes of insecurity and doubt about self-worth. You become vulnerable to others' opinions, easily influenced and hurt by negative evaluations. This creates a vicious cycle where we lose control and dissatisfaction grows as we realize this recognition is unsustainable. Your life should not be bound by external judgments. It's the autonomy that you can fully own. The way out? Buddhism points out that to overcome this dependence, you need to cultivate self-awareness. This requires returning to yourself and understanding that your worth does not come from likes, comments, or what others think. The next step is to develop self-acceptance, an unconditional acceptance that doesn't rely on any external factors for validation. Setting healthy boundaries in relationships is also important. helping you avoid being swept up in others' expectations. Build your internal value, trust yourself, and become the creator of your own life instead of waiting for someone else's recognition. When you stop seeking approval from others, you'll experience a tremendous sense of liberation. Life becomes freer and more fulfilling when you truly begin to understand who you are and what you want. This is not just a small change in daily habits, but a significant step toward rediscovering yourself, breaking free from the cycle of social expectations, and building sustainable value from within. Before we move on to the next habit, take a moment to reflect on this. Dependence on others' approval is a way we avoid ourselves. But that's not the only thing that can hold you back. There's another habit, even more dangerous: holding on to grudges. Holding on to a grudge is like carrying a heavy backpack. You think it's just a small wound, but each step makes it heavier. We're about to dive into this, and you won't believe what's coming next. These secrets can truly change the way you see life. So, be patient, because the best always comes last. Habit number 5, holding on to grudges. Holding a grudge is when you harbor anger, bitterness, resentment, or other negative emotions for a long time after someone has hurt you. Typically, this is a response to a past event, but sometimes a grudge can develop just because you perceive someone to be against you or intending to harm you, regardless of whether it happened or not. These grudges often come with persistent reflections on that person and the incident at the center of the malice. But does holding on to resentment make our lives better, or is it just a way to imprison the mind in an endless negative spiral? Resentment is an invisible burden, but one that carries immense weight. It's like a heavy bag you carry on your shoulders, and with each passing day, little by little, you add stones of hatred into it. Not only does it rob you of peace, but holding a grudge also hinders progress, stifles happiness, and creates a vicious cycle of feeling victimized and powerless. When we hold on to a grudge, we turn ourselves into slaves of the past, powerless to move forward into more positive things. Any progress in our spiritual or emotional life is halted when our minds remain fixated on old wounds. There is no room for happiness or forgiveness when the soul is suffocated by resentment. Holding on to a grudge is like living perpetually in the past, unable to step into the present or move toward the future. It keeps you from fully living in the moment, preventing you from feeling joy and peace here and now. Instead of moving forward, your mind clings to past injustices, with old wounds still festering. You're not just stuck, you also miss out on valuable opportunities to live a free and peaceful life. Imagine trying to climb a mountain, but every step is hindered by an invisible rope pulling you back to the roots of your pain. Every step toward the summit becomes a struggle, and the higher you climb, the more the weight of the past pulls you down. One of the most profound effects of holding on to a grudge is the erosion of compassion and empathy. We lose the ability to understand and forgive others, and prolonged hostility and conflict not only damage relationships but also diminish the value of kindness. Instead of seeking reconciliation, we only want to retaliate, holding on to pain and discord, inadvertently prolonging the cycle of suffering. Overcoming resentment is not just an inner struggle, it is also a path to healing the soul. Cultivating empathy is one of the first steps. Understanding the perspective and motives of the person who hurt you helps open the door to forgiveness. Loving kindness meditation is an excellent practice for cultivating compassion, where you send love and forgiveness to others. Letting go of the need for revenge is the most powerful thing you can do for yourself, as it not only frees you from the burden of hatred, but also allows you to focus on healing and peace. Practicing gratitude is also a wonderful way to reflect on lessons and blessings rather than wallowing in suffering. Lastly, seeking support from loved ones or professionals can help you through tough times. In modern society, we are easily swept into the vortex of comparison, especially with the widespread influence of social media. Comparison not only breeds dissatisfaction, but also erodes confidence and happiness. When we spend too much time scrutinizing the lives of others, we can easily get lost in unrealistic desires and expectations, unintentionally giving ourselves more reasons to hold on to resentment because our lives aren't as good as theirs. It's time to let go of old grudges and pains to live a free, peaceful, and fulfilling life. When you give up the habit of holding on to resentment, you not only free yourself from the prison of the past, but also open the door to compassion and forgiveness. Life is not a series of grudges, but an opportunity to love and learn from experiences, even the most painful ones. Are you holding a grudge against someone? Have you ever felt the relief of letting go of resentment? Feel free to share your thoughts in the comments below. Habit number 6. Comparing yourself to others. If you compare someone else's strengths with your weaknesses, how do you think you'll evaluate yourself? Do you think this will make you feel better? The funny thing is, most of us do this from time to time, and some of us do it quite often. This is a guaranteed formula for losing confidence and being unhappy, but more importantly, it brings no value whatsoever. Suppose you see someone living an ideal life on social media, the dream job, perfect appearance, amazing vacations. You look at yourself, your job isn't perfect, your body isn't how you'd like it to be, and your vacations seem insignificant. Of course, if you focus on that comparison, feelings of inadequacy, insecurity, and even jealousy will start to invade your mind. But what has happened? You're simply comparing their best, curated version with your real-life version. That's not a fair comparison, and there's no reason you should feel bad about yourself. In the age of social media and constant connectivity, the habit of comparing ourselves to others has become so common that we don't even realize we're doing it. Look, you can compare your appearance, career, achievements, or lifestyle to someone else's. But what good does it do? All it does is create a loop of dissatisfaction and insecurity. The more you compare, the more you feel inadequate, unsuccessful, and unworthy. You forget how much you've achieved because, in your mind, other people's accomplishments always seem bigger. Comparison isn't just a trap for yourself. It can also lead to envy and resentment toward those around you. Instead of building genuine and empathetic relationships, you create distance because of feelings of inadequacy or inferiority. You stop finding joy in your own life because you're always fixated on what others have, which weakens your ability to appreciate and be grateful for what you've already accomplished. To break free from this habit, you need to practice self-awareness. Understanding your values and passions will help you position yourself in the world without feeling the need to compare with others. Instead of looking at their achievements and feeling disappointed with yourself, challenge those negative thoughts. You have much to be proud of and many accomplishments to celebrate. Acknowledging your achievements will help you break free from feelings of lack and insecurity. Furthermore, cultivating gratitude is an effective way to combat comparison. Instead of focusing on what you don't have, focus on what you do have. Every day, take some time to appreciate the small but meaningful things in your life. When you focus on gratitude, you'll realize that despite its challenges, your life is filled with valuable things. Finally, ask yourself this question. Does dwelling on what others have and what you don't help you move forward? Comparison not only makes you feel less confident, but it also contributes to another harmful habit, overthinking. When you let your mind dwell on worries and negative thoughts about yourself, you hinder your ability to find clarity and peace. Overthinking is the enemy of mental freedom. It causes you to worry about things that haven't happened yet, obsess over things you can't control, and amplify unnecessary fears. Habit number 7, overthinking. While people sometimes overthink situations, some are constantly plagued by a never-ending stream of thoughts. Chronic overthinkers replay conversations from the day before, second-guess every decision they make, and imagine catastrophic outcomes all day long, every day. Overthinking is often more than just words. Overthinkers also conjure up disastrous mental images. Their minds are like a movie where they imagine their car veering off the road or replay traumatic events over and over again. Similar to overthinking, comparing oneself to others is an extremely toxic mental habit. Modern technology and social media have broadened our horizons, giving us easy access to the lives of others. We see images of successful people who have what we don't, living the lives we yearn for. This comparison is the root of dissatisfaction, envy, and low self-esteem. Over time, it causes us to lose the ability to live a meaningful life in our way. When we compare ourselves to others, what we are doing is giving up control of our minds. We entrust our happiness to external standards, standards that don't belong to us. Gradually, we lose sight of our values because we no longer see what truly matters to us. Instead, we focus only on what others have that we don't, on the achievements we haven't reached. This creates an endless cycle of frustration and longing. Comparison not only weakens our gratitude for what we have, but also drains our mental strength. Once we start seeing ourselves as less than others, we become insecure, losing confidence in our abilities and self-worth. From there, we become fixated on our shortcomings, constantly feeling that we aren't good enough or worthy. As a result, instead of enjoying our own lives, we end up living as if we're racing in an invisible competition, where the ultimate prize is nothing but exhaustion and loneliness. So, how do we break free from this cycle? First and foremost, it's crucial to practice self-awareness. Self-awareness is the first door that opens the path away from comparison. Ask yourself, what are my true values? What is my passion? When we know what makes our lives meaningful, we no longer feel the need to compare ourselves to others. Gratitude is also a powerful tool that helps us focus on the good things we already have. Every day, take time to think about the little things you appreciate. It could be your health, a reliable friend, or even just a delicious meal. When we focus on gratitude, we feel full rather than lacking. Additionally, when you begin to feel comparison arise, challenge those negative thoughts. Remind yourself that you are not in competition with anyone, and your value isn't measured by external things. Acknowledge your accomplishments, no matter how small, and appreciate your journey. Stopping the habit of comparing yourself to others isn't easy, but it's the first step toward freeing your mind. When we give up this habit, we begin to see ourselves more clearly and understand the life we want to build. Instead of feeling envious of others, we start celebrating their successes and realize that everyone has their journey. What matters is not how fast or slow we go, but that we are walking on our path. Finally, as Stoic philosophers often remind us, happiness doesn't come from external things. It resides in our minds. When we learn to let go of the habit of comparison, we will find peace and freedom within ourselves. Only then can we truly live a full and meaningful life. When we let go of negative habits, we not only free ourselves from constraints, but also open the door to a peaceful and clear mind. Stoic philosophy teaches us that change does not come from external forces, but from our internal strength. Remember, to live a worthy life, we must learn to eliminate what weakens the soul. Letting go of negative habits is a long journey, but it is the daily commitment to ourselves that will help us achieve true peace. Now, before we conclude, I would like you to leave a comment. Living a peaceful life. If you are ready to let go of these habits and live a fulfilling life. If this video brings value to you, please hit like, share it with those who need it, and subscribe to the channel to not miss any future videos. Don't forget to follow the next videos displayed right after this one, as we still have many interesting things to explore together on the journey to finding peace and self-understanding.